Well, hello there and welcome back to another episode of the All Around Growth Podcast. My name is Rob Kaiser and I am your host. I'm excited to be with you this Thursday, February 10th, 2022. It's a warm 34 degrees this morning. Looks like things are starting to melt down in southern Ohio. A friend from the Freedom Cell Network, Tony, is tapping trees. Spring is right around the corner. And over the last 2 days, we've been talking about the homestead with episode number 280 back on Tuesday. We were talking about what is a homestead. And then yesterday we talked about how to homestead. And in those episodes, we covered the very basics of what and how, but we've yet to discuss what is perhaps the most important question, which is why? Why are we doing this? So in the same vein of the past two shows, I decided to draw from a few articles from a quick internet search using my search engine of choice, which is Presearch. And the first article is 7 reasons you should homestead and 2 reasons you should, and that's what we're going to read. Why Homestead by Mother Earth News, and 5 reasons why the homesteading lifestyle is awesome. All right, so let's see what we've got. 7 reasons you should homestead and 2 reasons you shouldn't. All right. Looks like this. What do we got? Let's get to the meat of it. Number 1, financial freedom. Number 2, food freedom. Number 3, energy freedom. Freedom from stress. Number 4. Number 5, freedom from time. Number 6, it's the way we're meant to live. Interesting. And number 7, the homesteading community is amazing. All right. Excellent points. This seems like a great article after a quick scroll. It's linked to in the show notes. Check it out. My key takeaways from that are freedom, 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 natural, community. Okay, so what does Mother Earth News have to say about why homestead? Oh boy, this is a long article. Lots of reading, pop-ups. Okay, I'm getting out of there. Check it out. I'm sure it's a good article. I'll still link to it in the show notes, but for what I'm doing, approaching the end of the driveway, not easy. So 5 reasons why homesteading is, or why the homesteading lifestyle is awesome as we approach the end of the driveway. All right, why the homesteading lifestyle is awesome. Self-sufficiency, knowing where your food comes from. Homesteading skills, work ethic, life cycle. Connectedness. Okay. Let's hit the road. And I'll dive into my thoughts on this quick scroll of a few articles and share my thoughts on why I'm doing it, my personal experiences. So initially, the draw for homesteading for me was a simple life. The seed was planted in Western North Carolina when I first got involved with the slow food, well, everything down there, really. And towards the end of my time there, when I was living there in 2004, 2008, that was right when I jumped on social media and my own proverbial keeping up with the Joneses. And I decided that I could do better for myself. And here we are almost 20 years later, and I'm finally realizing what it takes to homestead how we're doing it through direct experience, but I've never really talked about why I've chosen this path. So, why do I want to homestead? I mean, like I said, the seed was planted in North Carolina, and I grew away from that right at the height of social media, and it just so coincided that keeping up with the Joneses coincided with my transition into the corporate years and identifying more as a conservative, just like my bosses, listening to AM radio rather than the liberal that voted for Obama back in the day. And finally, the corporate years and my inability to manage my life led to burnout and a long-winded, series of events that led to me moving to California, but making a lateral move within the company and getting introduced to the idea of prepping back then, when my girlfriend and I were putting together a simple earthquake preparedness kit. And at that time, as I got into prepping, someone introduced me to Alex Jones, and I started thinking about all kinds of things, and I really embraced the fear porn back in 2010 and started getting concerned about all kinds of things and thought, okay, it's time to move back to Ohio and get this Homestead show on the road because things are gonna go sideways. And it was actually through Alex Jones's show that I was introduced to Jack Spirko, who was referred to as some kind of, other prepping guy, kind of. I forget how he referred to Jack, but it was in a nice way. It was in a way that made me want to explore more, like a fellow here in Texas. And I did that. And Jack was far more appealing than Alex Jones because of his solutions-based approach to his show. And accordingly, I began listening to Jack on the regular as I began assembling my exit strategy from California back to Ohio. All right, so that happened. Some additional things happened, and I capitalized on an opportunity to negotiate and make more money and get back to Ohio faster, and that is another topic for another day. So why am I homesteading? Yes, a simple life, and that was kind of accelerated by some concerns about the whole shit hit the fan scenario, the end of the world. They're coming to get us and put us in FEMA camps. Okay, so that. And I went through my whole fear phase about 10 years ago, and then once I got back here, a few more years of the debt cycle and some further inability to manage my life, going through another burnout, chasing other people's dreams, spending money I didn't have, so on and so forth, until I wised up and I got out of debt. And ultimately, why I think homesteading is a sensible approach and a good fit to my life, right, is because, like Jack says, and the whole premise of his show, the Survival Podcast, is helping you live a better life for when times get tough, or even if they don't, right? So that's what homesteading is all about. And ultimately, for me, it's also about freedom. And I don't mean freedom in the chest beating, patriotism, America way. I don't give a damn about your patriotism. And I don't want to be involved in it. And I don't want you representing or speaking up for my Second American rights, or quite frankly, anything. I just want to be left alone. You know, and this is a concept that is embraced by, you know, everyone over at Unloose the Goose. And this is not a foreign concept to me. This is an idea that was initially presented to me by my father well over a decade ago, when we were sitting here, long before the cabin, the barn, the greenhouse, long before any of this shit was ever built. We got to talking about politics one day, sitting around in the pavilion. Maybe it was even at home after working out at the property. And we were talking about voting, and he meekly admitted to me that, because we never really talked politics in our house, it was never a big thing. Much like religion, we didn't talk about this stuff, except religion was an integral part of our lives. But we knew that it was in good form to not talk about it with others. And the third thing that you didn't talk about besides religion and politics was how much money you made. That was also in bad form. Personally, I love to talk about it all. It's a little uncomfortable for some people, but if you are uncomfortable talking about those things, I don't really want to talk with you. You know, we have to be comfortable talking about the uncomfortable. And if those things are uncomfortable, oh, my friends, what happens when things in life are really uncomfortable? What do we do then? Go climb into a corner with a fetal position in our blankie and suck our thumbs? Oh, we can't do that, guys. We have to be able to talk about the uncomfortable. And sometimes the uncomfortable in life is precisely what drives us to Homestead. And it becomes our why. Because we don't have that in the other aspects of our life. And a lot of times, more often than not, it ties back to freedom. Freedom in all ways. Freedom financially, freedom from food, freedom from dependency on these systems, freedom from everything. And it is a lot to bite off, okay? You know, in past episodes we talked, what are the key components? What does it take to homestead? You know, family, relationships, land, and the ability and desire to cultivate both. But maybe you're not in a position to do that. Maybe you're not in a position to just go out and work land. Maybe you've got other obligations, and doing those things in more in depth is a longer term objective. What can you do in the short term to work towards this freedom? Simple, all right? Financial Peace University, start eating right. Buy your food from farmers markets. Learn how to cook. Simplify. Stop eating processed shit. Do I do it from time to time? Yes. Am I human? Yes. So are you. Give yourself a fucking break, man. But be consistent with the desire to change, and moreover, be consistent with the actions that we take, and we will soon get the results that we want. Because thinking about all this shit for so long is frustrating as hell. And when we just spinning our wheels, it's stupid. And lately, guys, I feel like I've been spinning my wheels with regard to my finances. Today's Thursday. It's Financial Peace University Day, class number 4. And you know, the reason I coordinate these classes is to have the class serve as the ultimate accountability partner. And in doing so, I'm realizing that I've grown away from this as a lifestyle, And I've got to get back to some things that I did a few years ago, which is eliminating a bunch of subscriptions. And I think I'm going to just pull the trigger, eliminate this one. You know, the only recent episodes will be the past 90 days. I'm going to go back to free. I'm going to use this as an incentive to build up a site, or maybe at least piggyback it on my personal site. The reality is, guys, this show isn't that large. When I started it, there wasn't a whole lot of goals and objectives to monetize, to push a product, to utilize it as a platform to direct people somewhere. I was really utilizing it as a journey to document my own growth as I build the life and homestead of my dreams, and sharing it with you in the way that so many other podcasts have been so freely shared with me. But I think I've got to make some changes. I pay for this. I don't have a big audience base. I don't get a lot of financial support. And quite frankly, the stats aren't there to whoa, I'm sliding on the ice, to have me keep going, right? So let's talk about this in the Telegram chat. For those of you who do listen, t.me/allaroundgrowth. I'll let you know what I'm going to do. The show's still going to continue, but the accessibility in terms of, you know, what's going to be available to see is going to be different moving forward. I'm going to make some changes. I kind of made these decisions on the fly, thinking about some of this morning, and then firmed it up on the discussion this morning, just in the drive here. So I got to get my shit back on track, guys. I have some lingering debts, you know, technically speaking. Because of that, I am in baby step 2. My net worth is of course still very much in the positive, but I haven't been managing these well. I need to rearrange some funds, pay these off quickly. You know, even take some steps to close out my bank account with Chase, get away from the big banks. I have 2 other accounts with local credit unions, or I have multiple other accounts with 2 separate local credit unions, and I can use those. I pay fees at Chase. These other banks don't charge me fees. Fuck the big banks. I know I'm all over the map, but these are some changes that I've got to make to get back on track, to simplify. And I know that if I just shut down my accounts, people will be knocking for payments. So that'll be an incentive to A, stop any subscriptions that I'm getting dinged with unnecessarily and not really paying attention to. B, pay more attention to my finances, and get back on track towards the simplicity that can help me not only further determine my why, but also more effectively approach how to homestead and put into action a lot of the ideas that have been had over the past few weeks, months, years, and more. So, all right, guys, that's it for Thursday's show. I appreciate your time today. And again, check out the chat, t.me/allaroundgrowth, and the rest of the show notes for links to everything we talked about today and more. I look forward to the dialogue with you about the future of the show. So I'll catch you there. This is Rob Kaiser, and thank you.